The Philadelphia Eagles quarterback was put in front of the hardest question of this entire offseason today during OTAs, my friend, and what happened in the seconds before he answered was one of the most revealing moments any camera has captured at a practice facility this entire season. He picked up the cup, took a long sip of water, waited, and then said exactly what anyone who truly understands professional football needed to hear to grasp where this team really stands right now. The words that came after that sip were not public relations protocol. They were the words of a man carrying the weight of a separation the entire NFL already considers inevitable, who chose to respond with a calculated honesty that says far more than it appears to on the surface. What Jalen Hurts said about the A.J. Brown trade, how he described the current state of his relationship with the receiver, and what last season's numbers reveal about the real pressure sitting on the quarterback's shoulders in 2026, you are going to understand all of it right here. If you are a true Eagles fan, hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this statement changes the tone of everything that is still to come in this offseason. OTAs began this week at the Jefferson Health Training Complex, and with them came the first moment Jalen Hurts was placed in front of reporters to speak about the subject dominating every conversation surrounding this franchise. The question was simple and impossible to dodge. What would an A.J. Brown trade mean for the Eagles' offense? Hurts picked up the plastic cup of water in his hand, took a long sip, waited a beat, and then said with a smile, "Picked the right question to sip on." The quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles who delivered that line is Jalen Hurts, and then he responded with substance. Hurts' words were chosen with care, but their content is more revealing than any direct statement could have been. He said the team's focus is on learning Sean Mannion's offense, that the approach to improving does not change regardless of what happens. And then he used one word that defines the entire situation in a way no analyst in the league could have framed better. There's an if. Hurts publicly acknowledged that the trade has not yet happened, that there is a real conditional attached to Brown's status on the roster, and that regardless of how that if resolves itself, nothing can replace the greatness the two of them built together. That phrase, "nothing can replace the greatness we achieved together," is the most honest public declaration Hurts could make about a situation that the behind-the-scenes reporting describes as far more complicated than the quarterback is willing to admit in front of cameras. 2 Super Bowls together, 1 victory, 2 Pro Bowls and 3 second-team All-Pro selections for Brown during that stretch, 3 Pro Bowls and 1 second-team All-Pro selection for Hurts. Any analyst reading only the numbers will see an elite partnership that produced at the highest possible level of the sport. But the behind-the-scenes narrative, with anonymous sources inside the locker room itself, with the documented deterioration of the relationship, with the confirmed absence from Brown's wedding on May 16th, tells a very different story. And that is exactly where Hurts' other words become the most interesting element of the entire statement. The quarterback said nothing has changed since the two of them spoke at the end of last season, and that they are, according to him, really good. And then he went further. He said he saw the beautiful pictures from Brown's wedding to Kelsey Riley, that he is very happy for the receiver, his wife, and their family, and that stepping into a covenant like that is a beautiful thing. Hurts said he was excited and congratulatory toward all of it. Now place those words in the context of what has been reported. Hurts was not at the wedding. It is not clear whether he was invited. TMZ confirmed the absence. Sources close to the event described the situation in ways that raised real questions about the current level of closeness between the two. And then, in the first public opportunity the quarterback had to speak about Brown, he describes the wedding with enthusiasm, praises the photos, and says the two of them are really good. There are 2 ways to read that statement. The first is that Hurts is genuinely happy for Brown, and that the relationship, while it may have shifted in terms of intimacy, remains positive and without real friction. The second is that Hurts is an extremely intelligent and communicatively sophisticated player who understands perfectly what the market is waiting to hear, and who chose the most strategic response available to him in that moment in front of the cameras. The quarterback who can smile, take a sip of water, and turn an impossible question into a memorable line before answering with surgical precision is not a player who responds on impulse. He is a player who thinks before he speaks. What is fact, regardless of interpretation, is that Hurts arrived at these OTAs carrying a weight that goes beyond the personal drama with Brown. The 2025 season numbers are the context every Philadelphia fan needs to have in mind when watching today's statement with the attention it deserves. Hurts finished last season ranked 20th in the NFL in QBR with 55.2 and 16th in total passing yards with 3,224. For a quarterback on a $255 million contract, leading a franchise built to win the Super Bowl every year, those are numbers that generate uncomfortable conversations. And the conversations are happening. Analysts have called Hurts one of the biggest problems in all of professional football right now. Yardbarker published an analysis listing the primary concerns surrounding the quarterback before OTAs even began. The national press has started including Hurts in discussions about quarterbacks whose long-term standing with their respective franchises is no longer an absolute certainty beyond the 2027 season. These are conversations that did not exist 2 years ago, when Hurts was an MVP frontrunner and led the Eagles to Super Bowl 57. What changed since then? The question has multiple possible answers, and none of them are simple. The offensive system became predictable over the last 2 seasons. Brown grew progressively more, frustrated with his volume of targets. The receiver's production drop in 2025, with 78 receptions, 1,003 yards, and 7 touchdowns, was read by the market as a reflection of both the deteriorated relationship and the offense's limitations. And Hurts finished 20th in QBR in a year when the Eagles should have been competing for the title of best offense in the NFL. Now the franchise is trying to reset. Sean Mannion arrived as offensive coordinator with the implicit mandate to modernize the system and restore Hurts's confidence to play aggressively in the deep passing game. The Eagles added Mekhi Lemon, Marquise Hollywood Brown, and Dontavion Wicks to the receiver room, while the Brown trade to the Patriots draws closer. The target group has changed. The coordinator has changed. And now it is Hurts who needs to change what last season's numbers revealed about the current state of his game. Today's statement at OTAs, with the sip of water and the smile and the carefully chosen words, is the first public chapter of Jalen Hurts in a new offseason where the pressure on him is greater than at any other moment since he took over as the starting quarterback in Philadelphia. He responded with the elegance of a veteran, but the 2026 season will not be answered with verbal elegance. It will be answered on the field with quick decisions in tight windows, with difficult choices against zone coverage, and with the ability to elevate a completely rebuilt receiver group around him. The if that Hurts mentioned today still exists. The Brown trade has not happened yet. And as long as that if remains open, the pressure on the quarterback remains everywhere at once. In the meeting room with Mannion, on the field during OTAs, and now, unavoidably, in front of cameras on a Wednesday afternoon with a plastic cup of water in his hand. Do you believe Jalen Hurts is genuinely at peace with everything happening around him this offseason, or does the sip of water before answering say more than any word that came after it? Is the 2026 season going to be the reset that Hurts and the Eagles need, or are the problems that the 2025 numbers reveal deeper than a change of offensive coordinator can solve? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be back later with the latest Eagles news.